Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer Blather 231, Bud Decisions, with moi, Saul Montes Bradley, the largest human repository of useless information, and right next to me, Thomas Wichter, the only living expert in World War I flamethrowers, moi from Virginia, him from Mexifornia. Not only is the Empress naked, as we said last week, but the whole court is in the buff and making bad decisions. From the brilliant cretin who decided it was a good idea to show compassion, to the mastermind of 9/11 and murderer of Danny Pearl, to the schmuck asking to hold its hand after Hezbollah, asking Israel to hold its hand after Hezbollah launched nearly 8,000 rockets into northern Israel, to the buffoon who led Kamala to choosing suicide expert Josh Shapiro to balance her anti-Jew policies. As if this shit show wasn't enough, out from the cold comes Chelsea Clinton, the ugly duckling spawn of Billy the Rapist and wiped with a cloth Hildebeast, suggesting her desire for an embassy should the Tamil wonder be sucked into the White House. Literally. Fine by us. Despite her obvious lack of qualifications, in itself a qualification in the Democrat world, we are persuaded that Rwandans would absolutely love a Clinton for an ambassador. They may even throw a machete-party in her honor. Failing that, there's always Haiti. From the bad choices at the Paris Olympics to the worst choices in the war on terror to the dismal choices in domestic policies, this is beginning to look like slapstick comedy, you know, the kind in which all actors fall flat on their asses. Thomas, rescue me from the thoughts that creep into my mind every time I think of Democrats' bad choices and the clown show that we've seen last week. It looks to me, and by the way, just as I finished preparing all of this shit, it turns out that the Democrats had a vote before they had a vote.
Yeah.
and they had a roll call before they called the convention, because obviously they are so certain of the political prowess of Kamala, the great sucker, that they wanted to have a telephone roll call to confirm her before she was confirmed as a candidate, and the convention took place.
Yeah, everybody supports her, but we have to do this. I mean, basically underground operation to make sure that we twist the arms of everybody.
Yeah.
No, the historian Barbara Tuchman wrote a book called The March of Folly. And what we're seeing right now is the March of Folly. I've heard, around this time, I did the same in 2016. I didn't do it in 2020 because Trump had raised the possibility of the Democrats, stealing the election. So I listened to everything, but this time around, I'm hearing all these conservative commentators saying, don't be scared, everybody. Trump's still in the race, and it's like, what's happened to make these people scared? Kamala? I mean, this is pathetic. This is absolutely pathetic. I'm not scared. I wasn't scared in 2020 when Biden won. I didn't go, ah! I said, well, now the voters get what they voted for, and they get it. They deserve to get it good and hard, and they have. And I'm not scared of anything, but I'm especially not scared of Kamala Harris. I mean, good Lord, it's if this is what it takes to scare Republican voters,
the tigress of Tamil Elam,
please. I mean, it's just okay.
pretending to be Black American.
I mean, this whole thing is it just keeps getting better and better for Trump and worse for the Democrats. Okay, you and I said that if she chose Josh Shapiro as her running mate, there's going to be a massive blast of protest from the far left. That has happened. My brother tells me that he's heard that it was a trial balloon to see how everyone would react to Shapiro. But on the other hand, apparently they're putting all their eggs in the Pennsylvania basket. So they think they have to choose Shapiro in order to win Pennsylvania. And I mean, this is...
They're going to revive the Goldberg case, and Shapiro's going to go down in flames.
Well, this is the thing, that Shapiro has so much baggage, it's outrageous. And my guess is that okay, I'm having an ant invasion. They're coming in. I have these 1913 windows in the kitchen. My parents replaced all the other windows, but they left the 1913 windows the way they are. So they've got they're a two-piece window, and they've got the sash, and you open up. So the ants are pouring in through the underside, and if you use glass cleaner on ants, it's like
they die.
Pardon me?
Like Windex or something, they die on the spot.
Yeah, it zaps them instantly. So these little psychos are pouring in, and they're running frantically in all directions. And as I'm sitting there watching them, I'm thinking, this is the Democrats. They're running frantically in all directions, and they have no coherent plan, because if they did, they wouldn't have chosen Kamala Harris. They wouldn't be pulling this.
Maybe this week I'll try Windex on Democrats and report to you next week.
Well, what's amazing about all of this is that they're going forward on their own delusions. Like this is what's really fascinating to me, because we're seeing this all over the world. The Iranians, the Russians, the Democrats, they're moving forward on their own delusions. Like the whole notion that Kamala Harris is, as they're claiming, this ace debater who will make mincemeat out of Trump. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard knocked her unconscious.
Wait until we leave you, Boob, and I'll show you what a debater she is.
Well, this is the thing, that everything they're saying about Kamala is untrue, but they all believe it. And I saw a movie years ago. It was a British movie, and it was about a young couple who are having trouble with the woman's mother, and that woman was having trouble with her own mother, who is very elderly. And there was it was the older woman's birthday. She didn't want to celebrate her birthday, but the middle-aged, her daughter, insisted and went to the old folks' home and physically moved her out, insisted on having this party. All the old woman's friends were dead. She was the last survivor. She decorated the whole house. Nobody came. The mother was like, I just want to go home. I want to go back. I want to go back. And she literally said, shut up. She put her in the seat, and then she picked up a slice of cake and rammed it in her face. And people were pulling her off. They're like, what the hell are you doing? And finally, she just had this complete breakdown and just sat on the sofa sobbing. This birthday was this birthday party. It was supposed to represent how wonderful everybody's life was going. And it's like, okay, all the guests were dead. The mother had no interest in being there. The grandchildren had no interest in being there because they knew that the grandmother was not having a good time. But this one person was just plowing ahead, just knocking her way through people.
And celebrating.
And ends up literally taking a piece of cake and shoving it in her mother's mouth. And then she breaks down. And this is what we're having here, is that we're seeing a party and all the guests are dead. And it's I don't know. It's the weirdest thing that you see it in a movie. This is an old movie. This is like 30 odd years.
I just had a flashback to Monty Python. How can we all be dead? The salmon moose. It's the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
See, they've been drinking the Kool-Aid for so long. Now the entire Democratic Party is like a ginormous Jonestown. They're all dead. They poisoned themselves to death. Now they have to have a convention without a convention, a vote without a vote, and a candidate for a Black American candidate who's a Tamil Indian non-candidate.
Well, drinking the Kool-Aid. Have you heard the latest development on the Italian female boxer who had it was defeated in 46 seconds
let me see. She was forced to apologize, and she did. The International Boxing Association is paying her as if she had won the medal, which she didn't. The Olympic Committee is standing by the fact that the dude is winning, and AP News says that the Algerian boxer who's faced a lot of lies on the media about her sexuality is what didn't happen. The whole thing is a fucking mess.
The Italian boxer supports transsexual women in boxing.
Yeah.
That's her latest statement. And she apologized to the Algerian for being the center of this ruckus, which she completely, what's the term? Not denies, but she repudiates all the support from the people who say this is wrong and this is unfair. She thinks everything's fine.
Never mind her own actions up until a day ago. Obviously, somebody made her an offer she couldn't refuse.
Yeah, and okay, for one thing, this is Europe. Europe is not the United States. What the Europeans decide to do is their business. I don't follow, what's happening in Norway, what's happening here, what's happening there. They're all adults. They're all making their own decisions. And if they crash and burn, that's, that which has no will to survive won't. I care only about the United States. And, Mitch McConnell recently said that an America First policy is nonsense. Well, I disagree. I think America First is the way we should go at all times, because if we don't put ourselves first, everybody else is going to try and smash us into the ground because they hate us out of jealousy. That's all there is to it. They are envious. And if you look at the migration patterns, all the best Norwegians live in the United States. All the best Brits live in the United States. All the best Canadians live in the United States, because they understand that this is indeed the land of opportunity. And, we're going to have a reformation, as Sarah Palin said, and everybody laughed at her, and now Trump is using the exact same word. So we're going to have a reformation, and things like I've always told you, I'm an optimist. I would like to see things get better sooner rather than later, given my age. I don't want to have everything finally head in the right direction when I'm 78 years old. I'd like to benefit from it while I can still walk.
And we don't have that much time left.
We don't. You and I don't.
Let's face it. I'm gonna trot as much as I can now because the curtain is beginning to close over there. Let me say something before the curtains close. Something's beat me. We have. I feel like I'm back in 2017 with all the morons coming out against Islam and Sharia and this and that. I mean, and all of them with the same stupid cant that they had 5 years ago. We have one here on the chat. I saw a photo of the male boxer giving the Islamic gang sign of the index finger. Now, Islamic gang sign.
Is that this?
Oh, what are you doing? No, cover yourself. In the little cartoonish image of yourself in the meme, you can see yourself with a finger app right there on top of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Yeah, I look like an Ayatollah.
Yeah, you're an Ayatollah giving a secret handshake to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed because this is like dog whistles.
Okay, hold on.
Sometimes a finger is a finger, a cigar is a cigar, and a moron is a moron.
Well, this is an Algerian woman who's boxing. That tells you, an ostensible woman, whatever. This is an Algerian boxing in the women's category, wearing shorts, wearing a short sleeve shirt. That tells you all you need to know about how religious the person is.
Of course, that tells you right there. She doesn't wear a hijab.
And this sign means
for some idiots, that means is a man because women wear hijabs. Not in Algiers, you idiots. It's not mandatory in Algiers. Most Algerian women do not wear a hijab and use bikinis when they go to the fucking beach.
Well,
and the wearing of a burqa is verboten by law.
Currently, there's a plethora of all women heavy metal bands in Algeria, where they're wearing little belly shirts and they're doing the heavy metal stuff and screaming heavy metal songs. So Algeria isn't Iran. Algeria isn't. I don't know. Islam is not monolithic. Have you fallen asleep, young man?
No. I was answering somebody in the chat, letting them know that bigotry is not something we appreciate or tolerate for long. And I'm telling you, and this is not a fucking gang sign, it's a finger. And I'm telling you that we are number one. And you better stop talking bullshit in our chat room.
No, it's just not.
Sorry.
Okay, you have to understand, Islam has gone through its own reformation under Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia. I mean, the Islamic world of today bears almost no resemblance to the Islamic world of 2001. And if you look at the geopolitical landscape, if you look at culture, you have holdouts, you have Hamas, you have the Islamic Republic of Iran. Let's see. Okay, the Jordanians. The Jordanians have announced that they're going to shoot down any missiles heading toward Israel.
Yep,
that's a Muslim country.
Yes. Egypt, Saudi, the Emirates are all coming in defense of Israel, the same as they did on the last Iranian attack. You know who made Iran's attacks possible? He's not a Muslim.
What?
Hint. He's not a Muslim.
Well, I mean, obviously, Joe bin Biden.
Before him,
Oh
the
God.
guy, the guy to whom we owe the Ayatollahs,
Yeah.
the
No.
guy who got Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini from the exiled in Paris and put him in Tehran and fucked the Shah. This asshole.
Yeah, that's for people who don't recognize him. That's Jimmy Carter in his current state.
Yeah, what's left of him at any rate?
What's left of Jimmy Carter? Yeah, Carter had a grade A imbecile named Zbigniew Brzezinski as his national security advisor.
Micah's daddy, or so her mother claims.
And he said that there was no chance that Iran would try to export jihad if the Ayatollah were shipped from Paris back to Iran. And of course, Iran immediately started exporting jihad, and they ended up in the Iran-Iraq war, which lasted 8 years. I mean, the worst thing that's happened to the Middle East is the Islamic Republic of Iran. And, you know, it's just, but see, if being a leftist means you never have to say you're sorry, you never admit to being wrong. And, okay, currently we're waiting to see if there's going to be a war, an all-out war between Iran and Israel. Personally, I don't see it happening because Hezbollah is essentially vacating a lot of its choice positions. We've heard a lot, Hezbollah has 250,000 rockets. How many launchers do they have? How many do they have? 250,000 launchers? No. When Hezbollah launches,
right, we can do two things. We can wait until they fire their 200,000 rockets and intercept them, or you can go after their few hundred launchers.
Well, see,
get them on the ground.
Every time Hezbollah fires, the Israelis destroy the launchers. So, since October 7th, the number of rocket launchers in Hezbollah has been steadily decreasing by the thousands at this time because, as you pointed out, Hezbollah has fired 8,000 rockets against Israel, and the Israelis have flown thousands of combat sorties over Lebanon, over Syria, over Iran. So
and a couple over Jordan.
Exactly. The Iranians are shipping rockets and missiles to Hezbollah. Now, if they don't have launchers, it's like if you and I had an entire room full of ammunition, but we had no rifles or pistols. The ammunition is basically worthless unless we throw it at the person, So Hezbollah is losing its launchers, and I saw a report, and it said that
and its commanders.
And its commanders. I saw a report, and it said that the 30-year plan of Iran to destroy Israel has basically been eliminated. Everything. Go ahead.
No, it's being wiped out. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, and this is why you have to think about things. It's like going back, the Chinese are going to invade Taiwan. How can they get there? They can't get there. The Japanese and the Taiwanese alone can sink or shoot down any aerial or naval transport, even if the U.S. says, suddenly we're not going to defend Taiwan. But we will. We will. So
we have no choice.
Hezbollah can't fire 250,000 missiles into Israel because they don't have 250,000 launchers. They don't. Their launchers are crap. Their launchers are ancient trucks, and weird little underground platforms. The vast majority of Hezbollah's missiles are basically pipe with explosives in them. And they're drones. Okay, we know that a drone flew all the way from Yemen and hit in
Shahid.
right.
Shahid, the same type the Russians are using in Ukraine.
And let's just be as frank as we can in terms of cold statistics. 2 people died. It went all the way from Yemen, and 2 people died. Not 100 people,
Okay.
not 400 people.
No.
So
In downtown Tel Aviv. I thought it was 1, by the way, but I'll take your numbers.
yeah, and 7 were injured, 2 died, and it hit an apartment complex, and 2 people died. So the armament of all of Israel's enemies is garbage, and the mullahs of Iran are in such a tiny little closed bubble that they can't comprehend how advanced Israeli armament is. It's just like the Russians. The Russians hold the Ukrainians in contempt. The Ukrainians just sank they just sank a Russian submarine. I mean,
remember when we used to joke here over a year ago that the Black Sea Fleet was at Bikini Bottom looking for SpongeBob? The Ukrainians, they keep moving the fleet further and further away, and the Ukrainians still manage to sink them again, to the point that really most of the, not 10%, most of the original Black Sea Fleet is sunk. The Ukrainians have managed to win the naval battle of the Black Sea with 2 rubber dinghies.
Well,
that was their navy.
Okay, here's take the carrier strike group that's positioned to help Israel missile. Those things have multiple layers. Basically, every ship has massive anti-aircraft defensive capabilities. So a drone comes in by air or by sea, it's destroyed, it's vaporized. The Russian sailors on the ships that are still afloat are given rifles. Now, compare Russians to Ukrainians. Did you see the video of the Ukrainian security contractors on the tanker shooting the Yemeni, the Houthi drone, the sea drone, and blowing it up? The Ukrainians had Belgian FNFALs, and they were carefully aiming and shooting. They were going bang, 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 and then kaboom, it blew up. The Russians are going, and of course, they don't hit anything.
It reminds me of bad Hollywood movies, where the bad guys come in with semi-automatic rifles, or no, even worse, with automatic machine guns, and and the hero, a cop, with a 5-shooter 38. Boom, bad guy dead.
Yeah,
and you have like 3,000 rounds from the bad guys, don't do shit. 3 rounds from the good guys, kill them all. This is the same thing I'm seeing here. The Russians being the bad guys, shooting aimlessly, and the Ukrainians saving ammunition and hitting their targets.
Well, the Russians have never believed in training. And you have countries like Macedonia, Croatia, Denmark, Norway. They have small units of special operators that are the most highly trained in the world. So Finland, these guys could inflict so much damage on the Russians if the Russians had invaded Europe. And, you know, the Polish created their first anti-terrorism special operations force in 1987. And by 1991 or 2, we were asking them to help us rescue hostages in Liberia.
Yep.
Because these guys specialize in hostage rescue. And they were that good that 87, 3, 4, 5, within 5 years, they were a top tier organization. And there are no top tier organizations in Russia. We see in movies, the Russian goons who are unstoppable, they know every martial art and they're masters of all firearms. That person doesn't exist. The Germans caught some Russian who was going to blow up something in Germany. They caught him because he went to a bar and he got drunk and he started bragging to everybody about his mission.
They got the assassin that they, speaking of bad decisions, the Biden administration just had the baddest of all, both making a deal with Russia to return Russian agents, sleepers, assassins, not only in the U.S., but in Poland, in Germany. That asshole, Gonzalez, Pablo Gonzalez, turns out he was Pavel Blather. He was, as the Poles insisted, a Russian agent. He was received by Putin on the tarmac and now decorated. And the idiots in the Spanish press are still referring to him as a Spanish journalist. He's a fucking Russian spy, you idiots! Get it between your thick skull. And the Russian spy posing as a Spanish journalist. The assassin they sent to Germany, who was caught because he was bragging about his feet. Same shit. That's why I remember these. The sleeper cell in France pretending to be Argentines with the kids who only spoke Spanish, and they didn't know they were Russian until they landed in Moscow. All of these critical assets that we knew who they were have just been returned in exchange for a couple of civilians caught by Russia on false claims. My heart goes out to them. I don't wish upon anybody spending 1 month in a Russian prison. But what the Biden administration has just done is put a target on every American at home and abroad. All the Russians have to do is nab your ass while you're taking a picture of the midnight lights in St. Petersburg, and they know that eventually the U.S. government is going to give them whatever they want. So you are now a target.
Well, this is why
We all are.
This is why officially we don't negotiate with terrorists, because, okay, you and I were talking about the Somali pirates. Those guys would kidnap the crew of an oil tanker or whatever. They would be paid off $3 million. They would do it again, do it again, do it again. Then the Indians. There was a joint task force, a naval joint task force that was patrolling the Horn of Africa. The Indians came in and they looked around and they saw everybody doing this and they said, "That's stupid." They went and they found the Somali pirate mothership and they sank it, and they didn't pick up any survivors. They told all the little men in their little skiffs, "See if you can make it to shore. Good luck." And
Happy swimming.
It wasn't even reported. So everybody said, "Oh, okay." So everybody started sinking Somali ships. There's an amazing video, and it showed a bunch of security contractors. They were all armored up from head to toe, and they had what are called general purpose machine guns. It's like a medium machine gun on a bipod, and these skiffs were coming in, and they just started shooting at it. The skiff sort of went up against the side of the ship, and they were going because these pirates, they have rocket propelled grenades. They're very dangerous. And the skiff just floated off, and the guy in charge said, "Okay, they're all dead. Ceasefire," and that was that. And the Somali pirates. Oh, and somebody, I can't remember who. Somebody attacked the main shore base where all the head pirates had built multi-million-dollar villas, and they blew it all up. Somebody shelled it, and then the special operators went in and wiped everybody out. And then it stopped, and the press discreetly averted its eyes because the Indians had started this, and the Indians aren't evil white people.
No, because if the U.S. had started it, it was American imperialists, killing brown people in the shores of Africa. Because this is how these things are reported anyway. So screw them. The same thing should be happening with the Houthis now. Unfortunately, we are there and not the Indians, and we're doing nothing but report how many missiles they fire. Yep. Oh yeah, they fire 5 missiles today, and they hit 2 ships. Ha ha ha! But we took 2 down because they were coming straight at us. Why?
We're living in the golden age of flops, And
another bad decision, by the way, because we owe our present predicament with inflation and interest rates to nothing less than the closing of Bab el Mandeb and the sequence of events that started with that led to an increase in prices on everything.
Everything. It's just, it's amazing. Here in California, we have a burger chain called In-N-Out Burger, and they promised they wouldn't raise their prices, and they finally came to the point where they either had to raise their prices or close down stores and put people out of work. So they bit the bullet and raised their prices. And okay, my brother and I were talking about this years ago. When we first started going to Miami, we first went to Miami in 1968. And there was this little hole-in-the-wall burger place, and it smelled wonderful, grilled burgers. My brother tells me it was a Burger King. I was little in 1968.
They used to smell great with those flame broilers.
And see, they don't. You go to a Burger King, you drive by, because I don't go there anymore. It says always flame broiled. No, they're not. There's no smoke.
Not anymore.
They're like pre-cooked patties that are microwaved. And
what they do now is they do have the flame broiler, and they do a bunch and hold them in baskets, and then they microwave them when you order. So it's not the same thing. But I remember when I was a kid, they would broil them as you requested them.
They had a little trolley, like a little.
Yeah, it was like those toasters in hotels, with a little conveyor grill going under and over the flames.
Exactly.
And dropping the burger, and in a minute you had a burger done.
Yeah, and they also use terrible ingredients now. They use some kind of cheap buns that the buns instantly get stale. None of the vegetables have, I mean, onions with no flavor? I mean, come on. So
How did they manage that?
I don't know.
And the bunch, remember when you were a kid, how fluffy they were?
How what?
Fluffy.
Yes, yes, yes.
They were, they had the consistency of a cloud.
Yeah,
It was amazing. Now, like you said, they're stale before you order them.
they're always stale, and it's just it's really stupid that all of us are living in this era where, I mean, okay, the head architect is, I mean, okay, I saw the video of Joe. He got off the plane and Kamala spoke for him. He looked like he was dead. He was going. Then he turned around and got back on the plane. And all the apologists.
Is that the one where he got in the wrong plane?
I don't know. He just got off the plane and then he got on a plane. And the apologists are saying he just wanted to say goodbye to the pilots. It's like, no, you're lying. Why are you lying? Why are you defending?
He forgot what he was doing there.
We're all in the same boat. So all the people who are coming up with these outrageously moronic defenses of Biden and Kamala, they're suffering just like we are, except for the Bill Maher's of the world. But the average person who's defending this tooth and nail.
Everybody, listen. We have an example of not an average person here in the chat. This chap just moved from Abu Dhabi to Zurich.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he had to pay for the freight for his shit to make it from Abu Dhabi to Zurich. And he writes, don't mention shipping costs. My wallet is still recovering. He had to pay through the fucking nose at least 5-6 times what he would have, because in order to take his furniture from Abu Dhabi to Zurich, instead of going through the Suez Canal, that thing has to go under the Cape of Good Hope, over the Atlantic into Rotterdam. I mean, what our inaction has done to ourselves and the rest of the world is impossible to describe without getting upset. This is the mother of all fuck ups.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just confirm a date here. Alrighty. Okay, the Suez Canal, the construction started in 1859. Joe Biden has taken us back to pre-1859.
Yes.
Talk about aggressive.
And just, in the early 20th century, after the by the way, who said this? Somebody, some politician or something, was talking about the Suez Canal and was saying how the Americans built it. No, it was the French. And the same French company that built the Suez Canal started construction on the Panama Canal, but they underestimated working in the fucking jungle. So in the end, they couldn't, and an American company came to rescue, and with wonderful, in particular, those steam-powered shovels that they used that were designed specifically for the Panama Canal build-up. It was amazing work by American ingenuity. And then this asshole, I have to bring him back from oblivion, because what the crap. The same guy who gave us the fucking mullahs, this asshole, gave the canal to the Panamanians, to a dictator, Dorticos. Dorticos is like the Maduro of Panama. And this idiot gave the Panama Canal to this cretinous, Nazi onanistic military dictator in Panama. And they've been doing it so well that the Panama is heading south faster than you can say, oh shit. It used to be 36 ships a day. Now it's down to 18. And it's been dropping every year. And of course, Now the problem is a drought. Imagine that, a drought. Because there's never been a drought in Panama. Never, never, ever, ever, ever. Nobody's ever heard of drought. They don't know what a drought is. So they don't have enough water in the lakes to fill the chambers to bring the boats uphill. Is it possible that none of these fuckers ever heard of hydraulic pumps?
Yeah, I mean, when the Venezuelans nationalized all the American oil companies, all the American oil workers got the hell out of Dodge. And the Venezuelans said, fine, don't let the door hit you in the ass. And then all their workers said, we don't know how to run anything. And the government said, you've been working there for 30 years. And they said, yeah, but we're Venezuelan. So they tried to stop by force with the secret police. So we left the country at about 4 a.m. and we didn't know what was going on. But my mother said, if you see your father being surrounded by Venezuelan men in suits, go over and take him by the hand and say, mommy wants to speak to you. So we were like, oh, a fun game. But they didn't know how to run it, and they still don't know how to run it. All these countries have national resources up the wazoo, and they have no ability to make use of them. And the mind boggles.
Yes.
And then they turn around and they say, you know what we need, the people, the voters, they say, we need a dictator. Yeah, we need a dictator who's going to fix prices for us because, that's the way to go.
Now we have Americans who want a strong hand to bring law and order back for us.
A strong hand to what?
A strong hand that will bring law and order back to us. And it's going to contain those greedy corporations. There are morons everywhere. Fortunately, not as many here yet.
Can you turn your volume up just a tad?
Okay. Probably.
Just a tad. I'm missing the tail ends of a lot of your sentences, and I don't want to turn my volume up. Hello?
You want to turn your volume up?
Okay, do you want me to turn mine down?
Let me see. I'm at maximum here.
Oh, okay.
I can't turn it up anymore.
All right.
Let me see. Over there.
Is your mic as close to you as you could get it?
The mic is, as you can see.
Sorry. Okay.
Right here.
All right. Let's just keep going then. I could be going deaf.
It's entirely possible. I have to tell you, as somebody who has been experiencing deafness for a while, my right ear, as you know, is dead, and the left one is only 50%. And I keep telling people, somebody wanted to do an implant, and then I could, and it was like $20,000 when it was proposed to me. And I said, wait. 95% of what I hear every day is bullshit anyway. I'm missing on 75%. I'm ahead of the game.
Yep. I'm watching.
I kept my 20 grand. What the heck?
I'm watching a Korean series about, it's a dramatic series about a young CEO who was in a terrible car accident and lost most of his hearing, and he's got a hearing aid, but when he's heard enough, he just takes it out, and he enjoys the world mostly in silence. So I can understand. They were shooting off stadium-sized rockets again last night, and if I could just, I have earplugs, but I don't know if you remember the days of wearing earplugs. When you wear earplugs, you get a sound in your head, and I just want to turn the volume off, but never mind. So
Oh well,
we were talking about Panama, about and the Suez Canal. Um, the thing about people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they make decisions, and then that's as far as their involvement goes. They don't worry about, they don't think about ramifications. They don't, that's for the little people. So Joe Biden doesn't know or care that shutting down, the Bob Mondale is making one of our listeners have to, pay. Well, okay, it's not just
yeah,
shipping.
and all of our listeners and everybody else in America to pay more for gas, to pay more for food, for clothing, for transportation, for goods of whether it be U.S. made or imported. Everything is up 40%, thanks to not making the right decision
When
in the Red Sea.
we cleaned out our parents' garage, the giant double car garage they built as a storage unit, their attic, my father's workshop, the workshop attic, and the attic in the giant garage. And we ended up throwing away approximately 20 tons worth of stuff. I mean, we had to get two of the largest dumpsters, two of the half, they're the same length, but the walls are halfway the size. And then five of the 3-yard dumpsters. And so my brother ended up shipping what was savable, what was salvageable. He shipped it to Vegas because he wanted it all. And so he hired a moving truck, and it filled approximately, maybe it was a bit less than a third to go from here to Las Vegas. $18,000. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything we do nowadays. And by the way, you want to fix your roof? You're paying more.
Yeah.
You want sheetrock to repair a wall in your house? You're paying more.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Well, it's
And
Virginia.
that's what people don't understand. They think it's the government printing money. That's no, you morons.
Well, if the government prints money, then the prices are just going to keep going up.
Not necessarily. Not from the moment that our U.S. dollar is backed by that is our reserve currency. It is officially.
Yeah, and okay, I've seen a lot of person on the street interviews, and they seem a hell of a lot more informed than they've ever been on our side. And they've seen even stupider than they've ever been on the other side.
Oh yeah.
I saw a video of
It's the MSLSD effect.
well, I saw a video. It was filmed by a young black man who just gone shopping, and a woman pulled her car up in front of him. She was also black, started berating him for wearing a Trump shirt. And so he started filming. She got out of the car and got into his face. And he was saying, "What are you doing? We're allowed to choose who we want to elect." And she said, "No, we're not. You can't elect Trump because he's going to kill us all. He's going to kill us black people." And she was just crazy. And she was also talking about you can't elect a felon. And it's like, yes, you can. The Constitution doesn't say anything about being a convicted felon. And besides, the whole like the prosecutor versus the felon, that lasted like less than a day. They laughed it out of the room. So the idiots confronting people, they're like the lagging indicators.
Nelson Mandela was a convicted felon.
Lech Walesa, was he a felon?
Yes.
Yeah,
And how about Mahatma Gandhi?
Mahatma Gandhi was a felon. No, I mean it's ridiculous. It's the
Well,
stupidest thing.
in and of itself, it doesn't mean shit.
No, and
Yeah.
what they're actually doing every time they say this, they're reminding people of how corrupt the process was. And that might be one of the reasons why they almost immediately stopped it, because people were reacting and saying, "Oh, you want to talk about that? Well, I've got something to say about it." And then they kind of went, "Oh, we can't use that. We have to come up with something that they won't have an answer for." And it's like,
Let's have a word about Engoron. Let's have a word about Merchant's daughter.
yeah,
It's you want to talk felonies and New York courts? Have
well,
at it.
the whole thing is just really, I mean, it's hard to believe that it's happening so openly in this country, but the good news is that this is basically a one-time deal. And when Kamala has her butt handed to her and they call the election, almost immediately, then this is never going to happen again. And
I sure hope I'm not the one who has to hand her ass, because the idea of touching it gives me the willies.
well, just get her to sit on the platter and just bring it around. I don't
Yeah.
know. She's really, oh, she's something else.
Okay. Speaking of kakala and all that jazz, people, denizens of Yubub, it's been a pleasure having you around us, and of course, some of you have made comments over there, but we do not answer those. In YouTube, in the description, you're going to have a link to continue watching in Odyssey. So if you really want to, come over to Odyssey, be our guest. But our time in YouTube is coming to an end just about now. Good night.